A little less than a century ago, Gorleston-on-Sea was described as Great Yarmouth's delightful southern suburb. Yarmouth itself at the turn of the century was seen to be increasing its fame year by year as one of the brightest and merriest holiday resorts in the country. The development of Gorleston, however, has been closely linked to that of Great Yarmouth, but in the Middle Ages the two were separate. Centuries ago, when the church was built, the centre of the settlement of Gorleston was centred on the junction of the present-day Baker Street and the High Street. Although St Andrew's Church seems relatively set back today, centuries ago it stood much closer to the centre of Gorleston and to the west overlooked marshes. There is plenty to see at this large parish church dating from the late 13th century. Excellent 19th century and later stained glass, one window apparently with an anatomical error showing a man's wrong foot. A late medieval Seven Sacrament font, erroneously thought to have been damaged by the Suffolk iconoclast William Dowsing, as Simon Knott debunks in his entry for this church on the website Norfolk Churches. One of the key features I was keen to see inside was the monumental brass monument, reputedly to Sir John Bacon, who died in circa 1320. The figure is 4 foot and 8 inches in height and cross-legged. Raven's History of Suffolk tells us that its survival is quite extraordinary, having been somehow lost and previously removed, concluding that, supposedly, it was purchased back by a Mr. Rokewoad at a sale in 1830, and by the kind care of a Mr. Dawson Turner, replaced in its original matrix. There was a major reordering and restoration of the building in and around the year 1872, which included a rebuilding of the south porch, but it cannot go without saying how much the church has changed in more recent decades to our own, and it is something of a struggle to know where to begin. So let us begin in the mid-20th century. The church was listed Grade 2 star in June 1953. To the north is a complex extension created in 1970 featuring small meeting rooms around a central octagonal space called the Chapter House. The southern, eastern and northern patches of the churchyard appear spacious and cleared of a large number of Georgian and Victorian memorials. If you approach St Andrews from the High Street to the southeast, as I did, the parish rooms will be entirely hidden from sight behind the church building itself. The modern alterations and landscape changes in the grounds to the north, with access from Lovewell Road, are quite apart from the prospect of the church when approached from the south. The interior of the church building has been greatly altered in very recent years. The church was reordered in 2013, perhaps the largest alteration since the overhaul of furnishings and fittings in 1872. Above all else, the most noticeable change was the removal of the nave and nave aisle pews. There was at the time a need for a more functional and comfortable event space, one which could coexist with a space suitable for worship. However, the path to reordering appears to have been quite drawn out. It was clearly public knowledge earlier in that year, as in January 2010, the Great Yarmouth Mercury published an online article quoting the vicar of St Andrews, whose initial suggestion about removing the pews sent shockwaves through the community, before claiming that more and more people were coming round to the idea. The removal of the pews hollows out the already spacious and vast interior. The presence of natural light has been almost eradicated by modern strip lighting, although for such a large church with quite small aisle windows, it must have been dark enough as it was. The addition of carpet is not to my taste, but it adds to a bold refurbishment scheme, and the arrangement of chairs suggests a regular variety of use. Whether this is to your taste or not, there is plenty to see here in terms of significant heritage objects. The volunteers I met on the day were proud of their building and keen to share its history with me. I wholeheartedly say this church is well worth coming to visit if you're in the area in 2025.